I live for a good countdown. Let me tell you, I live for a good countdown. Man, welcome. It is Wednesday, April 20th, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Systems Lab Live. How exciting is it that we are here today? We are in part 4 of our project management and entrepreneurship series, where we are breaking down the importance of having project management as a process, as a staple process in your business. We got a lot in store for today. We're going to be building out a project plan inside Google Doc. But let me tell you something. Today has been a fantastic day. Okay. Today's been a fantastic day. I'm going to tell you, I, for one, was super blessed by my accountability group. We got together at 6 a.m. We do meet bi-weekly, and it was fantastic. We were able to start to make some waves in terms of a project that we are collectively working on. More details on that and where we end up on that. But I will always say this because it's related to what we're talking about tonight, about the importance of planning. You want to make sure whoever it is that you're collaborating with, you are talking about everything from the direction to the intention to the outcomes to the objectives to devising and delegating of tasks. You want to have that conversation. You want to have the money conversation. You want to have the people conversation. Who's going to contribute what conversation? And you got to be committed to the process. Okay, commitment. If you ever have the opportunity, well, I hope you do have the opportunity to work with me. I often ask the question of, are you committed? Are you committed to the process? Many people, when they are thinking about, breaking down or building of a system, breaking down their own system and then rebuilding to another system, like, managing a process better, managing their project, time management of the like. For me, it all starts with committing yourself to the process, being disciplined. Okay, being disciplined. And so that's a muscle that many of us have to organize and stretch. Okay, that we have to strengthen. All right, so that's what we have to do. I love that. I love that I said that word and I didn't even mean to. Discipline is something that we have to organize. I love that. I meant to really say discipline is a muscle that we have to exercise, but you do have to organize your discipline. Come on now. Come on now. All right, because you got to get your mindset right. Come on. I know somebody out here can leave a comment about that, So I wanted to open with that. Because it's just important. It's important. We have to be committed to being the best version that we are looking to grow into. Let me say that again. We have to be committed to being the best version of ourselves, our future self. So what does that commitment look like? What does that discipline look like? And it's going to look different from person to person, experience to experience. Okay, man, how about that for coming up with the Systems Lab Live? All right, so what we're doing today, and I want to welcome the Instagram fam, and I want to tell you guys to come all the way over to YouTube, because we're going to be heavily into the building of a project management plan. Now, we'll go into some of the foundational terminology if you're here for the very first time. Now, one of my principal beliefs, as I stated earlier, project management, one of the most underrated processes in business, in entrepreneurship. Why is that? I don't really know why necessarily, why it's an underrated process, but I know what it does is that project management helps to streamline your goals for strategic alignment. I'm going to say that again. Project management helps you to become very strategic in your goals. Your goals should have a direct connection to the projects that you are working on in your business. I love that somebody said about discipline is self-love. It holds us accountable to our vision. Heading over to YouTube now. Come on through. Come on through. So that is essentially my take on it. My take is that you don't have to be a master in managing projects to do it well, so to speak, right? Leave that up to the folks that are the subject matter experts like myself. But I believe that someone on your team or you yourself should have these core skill sets as an entrepreneur to know how you are going to build, plan, organize, and execute your work, your projects at any given time. It could be a course, it could be an ebook, it can be a membership group. Whatever it is, there are foundational pieces of the project management process that you, as the CEO, you should know about. And even if you're saying to yourself, Ashley, I don't really have time to know all the things. Well, guess what? You already know and are already doing the project management work. It just may not be always pronounced, so to speak. You may not realize that you're doing what you are. So you may need to say, you need to rewire your thinking to say, I'm doing the skill set of a project manager, but maybe I need to hire one, or maybe I need to, get someone that's an online business manager to come on and take on some of these projects. But you want to have some knowledge of what you should be doing for managing a project. So now that we're here and we've had all of that, we are going to get straight into it, folks. We're going to get into process and flow, which is essentially where we look at a process and we break it down. And this is where we're going to do some building today. So I will be sharing my screen, and my screen will be a Google Doc, and we're going to go into what it means to develop a project plan. Now, what is a project plan? And you can see right here, it's a blank doc right now. But a project plan, what that simply means is that you have organized your thoughts into a document that essentially says, this is how this particular project is going to run. Now, what's great about this is that if you are doing a virtual event, if you're doing an ebook, if you are doing something like that, you can literally have a blueprint to actually manage this project time after time after time and again. So can this be one and done? Sure. But could this be a document that you build upon? Why? Why do I emphasize the documentation? Because listen, if you're like me, you already in your mind feel like you are managing 100 people, like you already have 100,000 of people inside of your organization, which means that you are already thinking about the particular God-given empire that he has given you. So what I always think about is, I think about, I need to get this on paper because one day I'm going to hand this off to someone to manage. Right? So I love this because project plans they tell us, okay, what's involved in this project, who's involved, how do I do it, what are the steps that need to be taken. Project plans are really great. That, when you are bringing people on to your team and you are in the midst of this project, you can literally hand them this and say, all right, let's go over the project plan. I want to tell you about what we're doing and how we're doing it. It just gives a more of a seamless way for you to integrate somebody within your team. Do project plans have to be long? Do project plans have to, encompass a lot of pages? Do I have to write a lot? All of these things. I know there are many people who are saying, I am busy and I may not have time for this. This is something that does not resonate with me. Which is funny. But I am encouraging you, I'm absolutely encouraging you to say to yourself and retrain and reframe your mind that this is not a burden, but this is an asset that's going to help you get to where you need to be. Right? So go ahead and pull up something that is literally free 99, free dollars, FREE dollars. Pull this up and think and strategize and put it on paper. We talked a lot last week about developing a vision for the project. And you know what the project plan is? The project plan actually is an extension of the visioning document, which then helps you to go deeper into what you're looking to do. And who don't want to go deeper? Come on now. And the way that you and let me back this up. Let me rephrase that. Because you want to make sure that you're putting out your best. Does it mean that that means you have the most expensive equipment? Does it mean that you have, the software that is, so and so has this software, so I need it? Does it mean that, you have to have things, in a perfection state? Not at all. But what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to have people think critically about the projects they're planning and how they're doing it. Now, many people may have had ideas way back when, and they literally have the plan inside their head. And so they just need to execute. So then there comes the question of this. All right, Ash, if I already have what I'm going to do, why would I write it down? Why would I write it down, Ash? Well, I'll tell you why you should write it down, because it's different from thinking it in your head to actually writing it down and reading it right in front of you. What happens is when we write things down, when we type things up and we review it, something else starts to unearth in your brain. Another layer of creativity, other ideas. Maybe it actually doesn't make any sense. Hello, somebody. Ha! Hello, somebody. Can we get some testifying up in here? We've written something down and that does not make any sense. Amen. I know somebody feels me on that one. Okay. We need a comment. We need a comment on that one. All right. I love it though. I love it though. We gotta, we want to get this honesty, honesty piece going. All right. So, all right. Let's build, people, shall we? YouTube fam, are you ready to go? We're gonna build out the project plan. Let me switch on over to the project plan. If you're here on Monday, what we did is we actually went through some of Google Docs new features. They have something called smart chips that help with increased collaboration, and they just make your document smart. That last part was all me. I am sure they did not say that this document makes you smart, but I thought that was funny. But they have something called Smart Chip, which is a technology used to integrate other Google apps and also help you to collaborate with others. What is going on? We got the NULYP in the building. What's up? What's up? So we're gonna build out the project plan. All right. So the first thing that you want to do, and you should know too, that you put the little summary doc right here. Okay. So you're gonna put the summary doc right here, and you're gonna put the summary in here. So here we go. We're gonna put the summary. This is a project plan to help organize our next project. Now, the outline is something that's really key because you can actually use the headings, and that literally becomes almost like a mini table of contents. If mini table of contents, that's what I mean. So let's go in here and let's start. I'm actually going to say, let's see, I'm actually going to write here membership project management plan. And I'm gonna highlight this right here. Do. We're gonna do this one, and then I'm going to center it. Boom. And then I'm going to go and I'm gonna change this to heading 3, and I'm going to have actually put this as section 1, and that section is going to be overview and purpose. Section 2, section 2. And right here, I'm actually just going to start to copy and paste this. And I'm going to change this to section 2. And I'm going to name this. I'm actually going to name this. Deliverables right here. And I'm customizing this a bit because in traditional project management land, you are like writing how you're going to do the project, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna tell you that some like there'll be a section called schedule management. We haven't talked about scheduling, but we may need to maybe next week. I have to think about some of the topics, but schedule management is literally how are you going to manage all of the deadlines of a schedule. And sometimes what'll happen is you'll have someone say, I'm going to manage the schedule within an app. We're going to have these milestone deadlines. So I'm of the frame of mind that you need to write the project management plan as like the plan, like how you're going to do the work itself. Like, don't make it too high level because I've read project management plans that are like super high level and you can literally like get through it in like 2 minutes. And they've been like 15 and 30 pages long. And you're just like, that's not it. But that's in more of your traditional government or corporate spaces because they're working with a lot of contractors. So the project management plan is very much like we as a contractor are going to manage the schedule in this app and then give you a report and manage it and blah blah blah. So for purposes of an agile work environment, in the purposes of remote teamwork and entrepreneurship, I would actually say go ahead and be very detailed in writing down what the actual work is that you're doing. So go ahead and just say, here are the deliverables, here's the overview and the purpose of the project. Section 3, and you can, the different formats are be absolutely up to you because you can definitely make this into your own. So you can say section 3 is scope and requirements. Section 3 is the scope and requirements. Scope and requirements. And some of you might be wondering, actually, what are scope and requirements? Very simple. Simply put, scope really just helps you to stay in that little block, in that little window. Like, don't go outside. Don't put your toe outside of the line. Okay, because the scope helps to keep you very focused on what you're working on. Okay, so if you're doing a course and you're doing a course on golden retrievers that know how to catch footballs, if somebody walks up to you and says, you know what, could you do something with basketballs? And you might say, you know what, that's a great idea. Absolutely not. Because you said that your course is going to be about golden retrievers catching footballs. We ain't got no time for no dogs and basketballs. That was that air what was it, the little air puppy movie. Lord, we done forgot it. We done forgot about the hit air somebody. Anyway, but you know what I mean. You know exactly what I mean. Same thing if you have a virtual event. Now, shout out to Kristen Miller of Summit in a Box. I saw an email that she had way back when she was talking about this very thing about selecting your topic and your theme. And essentially that it can't just be like everybody just come on through. Like you can't everybody just come on through to my virtual event. Come on. You know what I mean? Like doors open. Doors open. Okay. Yeah, you can't do that. So when we're talking about the scope of your work, narrow down your focus. People want to say like niche or niche. You're in the same world, right? I love this one. Another perfect example. We have Nicole Beatty of a Fempreneur Coach, Fempreneur Online, and she had a conference last week, and that was very much focused on coaches, on coaching programs. Now, if I walked up to her to say, "Girlfriend, we need to do something on, service providers, providing services to tech companies," she would say, "Ma'am, did you read the landing page?" Right? Being in scope. So those are just a couple few examples. You want to write out what's required to get this project done. What's the scope? All right. And here and we're just going to go over and say section 4. And this is timeline. And I would timeline and milestones. And I would, in this particular section, write down the high level milestones that you're going to commit to, for sure. Okay, we're doing this like so. And I'm going to turn this into black. You know what? I never knew why Google would make this like default, like light black. Never really got that. But here we are. Timeline and milestones. We said the other day, quick reminder, time management and schedule management of a project are two totally different things. When we talk about time management, we are essentially talking about how you're managing your schedule and your day-to-day time. Mhm. So it's about like your actual priorities and the timing that you're going to get it done and what are the strategies for that. Schedule management is literally putting deadlines to tasks that support the larger goal of executing the project. Why are schedule management and time management important for you as an entrepreneur? I'm going to tell you why. Because you are not just zeroed in on this one project, like for 24/7. You have some different hats on. You may have a career. You may be a husband, a wife. You may be a mother, a father. You may be a care provider, a leader within your community, a board member. What other hats we got out here? We got a lot of hats out here in these streets. So you have to be very masterful in managing your time so that you can be able to work on the project and keep it on schedule, which means that all projects need deadlines. I had a reel that I posted and I said, if we are just having a project and we're just not having a deadline, what are we doing? What are we doing? I just like to whisper that out. What are we doing? What are we doing? We're just working, right? Like we're just I'm just gonna work on this and then think about it and then and I laugh because this is me. Like I've done that a few times, right? I'm not exempt. With these examples, I'm always thinking about myself and then either folks that I've worked with, you know, I've done that. So you're going to commit to something, go ahead and set a deadline. Sometimes you'll have tasks that are huge tasks and they're not necessarily connected to a project. Same thing. You need a deadline. So tell me what the timeline is and add a let's add a table to this. And I'm going to have here we go. We're going to have the let's see, the deliverable or the task see, we're gonna have the deliverable, the task, and then we're gonna have the date, and then we're gonna have notes, or maybe the owner. We'll have the notes. We'll have the notes because the owner is where you can do that. Absolutely. What's up, Salim? Salim back in the day, serving together in the community. One of my highlights. So I just made this quick table: deliverable and task, date, and notes. That's all you need to do. That begins to put together what you need. And again, don't list everything, but list some of the key tasks and things, right? That you want to do. I think that is pivotal. Pivotal. You will then transition to a project management tool. ClickUp, Asana, Notion, ClickUp number one. Okay. You will transition over to ClickUp, and you can then begin to build out your project management plan. Now, something I want to give you a spoiler alert: you can integrate this document into your actual ClickUp space. I like working with Google Docs, and I also love the Docs feature of ClickUp. I really do. But sometimes, it's just really dependent on how I feel. I'm just like, I feel like, this is a Google Doc situation, So some things warrant whatever they're going to warrant. So, okay, we've done overview, purpose, deliverable, scope, and requirements. I will put in here as well. Let's see. I would put in here, I'm sorry, uh, risk management. All right. Section 5. Section 5. Let's see. We are building this from scratch, folks. And so I'm going to actually take a peek at a project management plan that has been created and make sure that I'm not leaving anything out. But this is where you are going to write down 3 to 4 risks. And you can do, again, well, you do this in 2 ways. You can write down the risks that you are identifying, or you can actually write a plan of how you're going to approach risk management. Now, depending on where you are, that might be a little too like level 301, because I don't want to confuse the masses right here. I don't want to confuse anyone. But here's what I would recommend. Go ahead and just write down what 3 to 5 risks, meaning 3 to 5 items that literally can derail your project. So if you're launching a membership group, if you are creating an app, NFT, think about it from this perspective. All right, what could actually derail my project? What's going to stop it from being successful? You can probably come up with 3 to 5 of those. And I'm going to allow you all to do that. So I'm going to allow you all to do that. I'm going to take a little sip of the tea. Shout out to Black and Bold, a great coffee and tea company. So while you guys are putting this in here, we're going to, I'm going to pull something up, but I want to talk about where you store these project management plans. Most certainly, you can have a folder within Google Drive. That would be important for you to have. Google Drive. You could, again, integrate this within ClickUp. Asana has something where they have something called Project Overview. You could almost create a project management plan using the project overview and then linking it. Many people also can, well, and again, there's nothing really wrong with doing it this way, but many people also think of project management plans as, let me create a template within an app and list out all my tasks, and that's my project management plan. And so that's a yes and a no. I, for one, would prefer a collaboration or an integration right? I think that's the word I'm looking for, an integration between using this as a Google Doc and then applying and then leveraging your project management tool to do that. Okay. Um Scope and objectives. Oh, resources. Okay, so I have one that says this section describes the resources and documentation. Goals and metrics, that's another good one. Goals and metrics. We probably should put goals and metrics under, I would put this under here. I'm going to put a bullet. Let's do a smart chip. Here we go. And I'm going to put metrics and KPIs. I'm going to put that right there. Metrics and KPIs. That's going to be very, very important. The project management plan. Yep, how to have risk use communication. That's going to be a good one. You'll definitely want a section on communication. We're going to put that right here. Section 6, communication. So this actually brings me to a really good point about the importance of understanding who's involved in your project from a team member perspective. And then also too, if you have folks that you like a trusted source. So I'll never forget this. Shout out to the course director, Jose. He said during one of his many trainings that I've been a part of on courses, on creating a course, he said that, you're doing the brain dump and then you get into like your outline of your course. And he said, which I thought this was genius, take what you have for your outline of your course and then give it to your trusted group of people, like your peeps, so the folks that know what you're doing, knowing what you're looking to accomplish, and get feedback from them. You know what I'm saying? Like that right there, next level. So when we're talking about communication, we're talking about the ways in which we are managing our communication, the project's communication with people. That is team members, those are your advisors, that's the client. How do you manage communication? Really, really important. Super important that we're doing that. We will go and transition into ClickUp so that we can also integrate this. Yeah, we talked about communication and everything. Okay, we're going to transition into ClickUp. This should be fun, people. This should be very fun. And I'm going to show you how I have integrated the project management plan inside of ClickUp. Okay. You guys, we're going to go into Andrea's rebranding project. And we're going to go to the project execution hub. Okay. I'm going to share. You guys put a 1 in the chat if you are understanding what we're doing. And this has been helpful so far. Let me know if this has been helpful. Okay, here we are. Here we are. Let's go. I'm going to make this a little wider so that y'all can kind of see it. And yeah. Okay, so ClickUp has the docs feature. As I mentioned before, a great way to share documents in a wiki style to your team members. Again, one of my top favorite features, my top 5 of ClickUp. And so I created a project execution hub, which essentially helps individuals on a team, or the collective team, that is, whoever's the PM for this can really apply this and say, This is how this project is going to run. We're going to know what we're doing, what the requirements are, what's our communication policy, what is our client communication plan. Come on, somebody. Our meeting notes, how we're going to track risk, all of that. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to walk you through it. So project overview, we are going to look into what is this about? And you'll just fill that in. What is this about? All right, second, we have the project team, which is good. Go ahead and fill those name, position, email, and phone. Some people may find this useful, especially if you're working with contractors and you want an easy way to find people's information. Go ahead and have a project team or a contact list if you want to change the name. The scope of work, an agreement on what's required to complete the project, the requirements, what's needed / identified to satisfy the business need or solve the problem. So you want to be really sure when you are working on this project that you understand, all right, what's required for this project to be successful. And something that, again, I probably need to just go ahead and put in here, we'll just do this on the fly, is include in the project overview the metrics. Goals and metrics plus KPIs. So we'll go back to here. Budget, how you manage the budget, the accounting. Now, old school, and I wouldn't even say old school, but in more of your traditional government, corporate, those type of environments, you will see something called a budget plan, which is essentially how are you going to like pay the contractor? Like, what's the policy on, managing the budget and the costs and the expenses? Do I still think that you need a full-fledged budget plan? Maybe not a actual like separate budget plan. Do I think that you need to have a really good handle on what is the budget for your project? And then also, how are you going to manage the expenses? Yeah. Like, write down how you're going to track this stuff. Now, it doesn't have to be sophisticated. Ain't nobody said nothing about this having to be some sort of high level system, but maybe you have something like a reminder that says, let me go and look at my expenses and then make sure that they are accurate. Make sense? Cool. So next up we have communication policy. So how are you communicating as a team? One of my faves to talk about, one of my favorite topics. How do we as a team, in respect to being efficient about time and tasks, how do we communicate where people are getting what they need? People are getting the direction. Yeah, let me define that better. When we mean what we need, we mean, are they getting the answers? Are they getting the strategy? Do they have the direction to move the needle forward to execution? Communicating problems. As a leader, you want to think about, do I want to know every little thing? Or do I just want to be updated on certain tasks being complete? Maybe I want to be a watcher. This is a ClickUp terminology. Maybe I want to be a watcher on some tasks. Maybe I want to just be tagged when certain things are complete. Maybe every time that we are finished with a piece of the deliverable, that we implement a stage gate. Ooh, we getting real fancy tonight talking about stage gates. Stage gates are what I love to call as, toll roads. Toll roads. So, you'll drive to a city and it'll say like toll road ahead. You can't move on to the next section or the next aspect of the road. You can't get over to that next piece of the road until you make a payment and pay the toll, and then you can get over. So that's essentially what stage gates are. Do you need stage gates in your projects? Yes, no, maybe, depending on the complexity. I would say that an example could be landing page copy. Maybe somebody is writing it for you. You are having someone build a site for your particular launch. A stage gate could be that you are reviewing that copy before you hand it over to your web developer to copy and paste and put in there. All right, client communication plan. If it's relevant or not to your plan, put it in there. How are you going to communicate with your clients? I, for one, always believe in having a specific tool like Slack or Voxer, where you could have that more one-on-one feel to what you're doing, for sure. Next up, we have risk management. How to manage the uh-ohs, how to manage risks, issues that can derail your project or your business. We've talked about that a lot, but let's go over it again because risk management is fun. Okay. I love it. I love that. I chuckled at that too. So I'm going to highlight a risk or two for you. So a risk. So for instance, you're launching a membership community. Everything's going well. You're checking off the tasks and you have a launch date in mind. You are getting some graphics together. All the things are happening. One of the things that is a potential risk is that the graphic designer won't finish the logo or a set of images in enough time for you to hand that over to the web developer. And for whatever reason, that could be scheduling issues. So, for instance, if your launch date is June 1st and your graphics guy says, I can get it to you on March 28th, you're going to say, hold up, buddy, because you need to get that information over to your web developer where they can have enough time to upload the information and review it and make sure everything is gravy. So, potential issues, virtual event. You could be waiting on speakers. That's a risk. Will they be on time? One risk could be for a virtual event. What if nobody attends? My goodness. Right? And you need to create a plan of how you are going to reduce or eliminate that risk. You can't do nothing about a person arriving to your event, especially speakers. They could be gravy, responsive, and then up until that day, all of a sudden, missing in action. But what are the preventative measures? What are some strategies that could come in place, right? Let's talk about that. So one is that you have calendar invites, maybe you have text message reminders, maybe you have a dress rehearsal. That's how you can really help to reduce that risk. Schedule management. So again, in a more traditional sense, the schedule management defines how the project is managed throughout the project life cycle. The plan provides guidance and set expectations on project schedule policies, procedures for planning, developing, managing, executing, and controlling the project schedule. So what this essentially means is that you want to have a point person that is going to manage the actual project from start to finish. They're going to be responsible for updating the project management tool. They're going to be responsible for making sure that all the tasks have the right assignees. They're going to be responsible for ensuring that it gets completed on time. That is where people are going to really begin to collaborate, work together, and really realize this is not for play, us having a schedule. We're executing, and we're executing. Questions that people have. I want to make sure we leave time for questions and comments. What was confusing? What was not confusing? As we begin to look at this is another way that you can manage project risks. So as we see right here, we have a due date, and then we have, the description. Content is not delivered on time due to the client's vacation schedule in the beginning of website development. Okay, I'm going to explain to you what these little topics are that you see right here, these little headings. That's the description. So this is the likelihood of it occurring. This is at a 4. And the impact, which is what will this affect? It'll either be the timeline, it'll either be money. So you want to think of what's the impact, the likelihood. Is this likely? Knowing that your client said, hey, I'm going to be in vacation in another week, and you were still waiting on content, that is a high risk. That is very much a high risk to your project. It's a high risk. All right. Mitigation strategy. Work with the client to obtain content prior to leaving for vacation. And quite frankly, I think that is for sure probably one of the ways that you could handle that. So that's how you do a risk management tracker, also within ClickUp as well. Questions and comments. I think we've had a lot, with this project execution guide. We've built a project management plan as well within Google Docs. Remember, the project management plan that lays down the foundation of how you go about the planning, the organizing, the execution of your work. I had mentioned earlier how we're living in such an agile environment, and perhaps the planning piece doesn't always fit within that. Well, I'm here to tell you that you should absolutely gather what you know, whatever the project is, a new business, a new service, an app that you are creating, services for a company, whatever it is. Make sure, just be very honest with yourself and say, this is what I know, so I'm just going to go ahead and take action. And then once you start taking action and you're knowing what you do, integrate that with a project management plan, with a ClickUp app, and begin to actually visualize how this is going to get done from start to finish. So that, my friends, is all that I have for you all today. This was good, folks. This was good. This was really, really good. All right. Any questions that people have? The challenge of the week is still the challenge of the week for Monday, which was for you to go into Google Docs and play around with the smart chips and do some fun activities in there. So to carry that further, you saw it, go ahead and watch the replay, favorite it, put it at your favorite watch list. I think that's what it's called. Save to watch list. Watch it again. And this should have given you some really great ideas on creating a project management plan. So that's all that I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you next week, same time, same bat place. And let's get it. Woohoo!